My hands were shaking so much that I almost dropped the keys on the floor. The hallway was dark, smelled musty and abandoned, and my heart was pounding so hard I could hear the blood pounding in my ears. The door was right there, just a few steps away from me, painted a once bright faded blue. For 23 years, Mariana forbade me to set foot in that house. 23 years of hearing, "Don't go in there, Thomas. That's just my place. You have nothing to look for there." And now she was dead. And I was there, alone, holding the keys that her lawyer had given me 3 hours ago with a strange look and the words, "It's yours now. Look for her secret." I turned the key in the lock. The noise echoed through the empty hallway like a gunshot. I slowly pushed the door open, and the creaking of the rusty hinges cut through the silence like a blade. The door opened completely, and what I saw made me freeze in place. Inside were photographs, hundreds of them, thousands, covering all walls from floor to ceiling, and they were all from the same man, a white man with gray hair, a wide smile, clear eyes, a man I didn't know, but he was there, in every corner of that house, as if he owned the place, as if I owned my wife's life. My stomach turned, my legs gave way. I leaned against the wall so I wouldn't fall. "My God," I whispered, feeling the bile rising in my throat. "My God, Mariana, what did you do? Let me back up a little. Let me explain how I got to that moment of horror. My name is Thomas Almeida. I'm 58 years old. I'm black. I'm a worker. I always have been. I've spent my entire life carrying weight, literally and figuratively. I worked as a stevedore at the port for 20 years, then as a truck driver, then as a security guard at a shopping mall. Hard work, modest wages, but always dignified, always honest. I met Mariana when I was 33 years old. She was 28. She was an English teacher, beautiful, elegant, white, from a middle-class family. I never really understood why she was interested in me. I always thought I was above my level, but she said she loved me. He said I was different from other men. He said I was honest, hardworking, sincere. We got married 6 months later. We didn't have children. She couldn't have any. Something related to a problem in the uterus that she never liked to explain properly. But we live well, or at least I thought we lived well. We lived in a simple 2-bedroom house in a working-class neighborhood. I worked hard. She taught classes. On the weekend, we went to church. It was a peaceful life, normal, until the day she came home and announced, "Thomas, I bought a house." I was in the kitchen drinking coffee. I almost spat it all out. "What did you buy?" "A house, small, on the other side of town. I inherited some money from my Aunt Gloria, remember? I used it to buy." "Mariana, why would you buy another house without telling me? We already have a house." She avoided my gaze. She touched her hair nervously. "It's an investment, Thomas. A place I can rent, or use as an office. I need my own space sometimes." "Space of your own?" I repeated, confused. "We barely see each other during the week. You already have the study room here. Thomas, please don't complicate things." She said it with that cold voice she used when she didn't want to argue. "It's a decision I made. The money was mine, and it was like that. No further explanations. Without consulting me, without showing me papers, she bought a house and told me it was hers. At first I thought it was strange, but I let it go. I thought maybe she really wanted a place to work in peace. She was always a bit reserved. I liked being alone. I respected that, but then came the rules. "You're not going there, Thomas." "Never." "Why?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Because I don't want to. It's my space. You have nothing to do there." "But Mariana, I am your husband." "Exactly. And as my husband, you should respect my boundaries." She said that looking straight into my eyes, firm, serious, as if testing my loyalty. I swallowed my pride and accepted. After all, it was her money. The house was hers. She had the right to privacy, right? But over time, things got weird. Mariana started spending more and more time in that house, 2 days a week, then 3, then whole weekends. She said she was working on personal projects, organizing class materials, needing silence. I was alone at home, eating a cold lunch, watching television, waiting for her to come back. When I asked about the house, she changed the subject. When I suggested visiting her, she would get irritated. "Thomas, I already told you, that place is mine, just mine. You don't go in there, never." "But Mariana." "Never, Thomas, never." The firmness in her voice scared me. It was almost aggressive. Once I asked if she was renting the house since it was an investment. She hesitated. "No, I haven't found the right tenant yet. It's been 5 years, Mariana." "Thomas, I take care of my house. You mind your own business. My home, and your life." As if we were strangers living under the same roof. Little by little, that house became a shadow in our marriage, a secret that was always there, hovering between us. I tried not to think about it too much. After all, Mariana always came home. He always slept in our bed. He always treated me kindly, at least most of the time. but I felt it. I felt something was wrong, and then, 3 months ago, Mariana started to feel sick. Stomach pains, weight loss, extreme tiredness. She tried to hide it at first, but I noticed. I insisted that she go to the doctor. She was reluctant, said it was just stress, that it would pass, but it didn't happen. When we finally got tested, the diagnosis was devastating. Pancreatic cancer, advanced stage. The doctor said she had at most 6 months to live. I broke down. Mariana became strangely calm, almost resigned, as if I already knew, as if he was expecting that. The last few months have been terrible. She wasted away day after day. I took care of her. I took him to the hospital. I held your hand during chemo sessions. I cleaned it when she vomited. I did everything a husband should do, and even so, even though she was dying, even though she was weak and without strength, she never let me enter that house. Thomas, she whispered a week before she died, lying in the hospital bed, pale as a ghost. Promise you won't enter the house before I leave. Mariana, it doesn't matter now. Promise. She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. Promise, Thomas. I promised, because I loved her, because she was dying, because I felt that after everything I owed her that last request. Mariana died on a Tuesday morning, alone. I had gone home to shower and change my clothes, and when I returned to the hospital she was already gone. The nurse said she had gone in peace, but I will never forgive myself for not being there. The funeral was small, few friends, some of her co-workers. Her family almost didn't show up. Mariana was always distant from her parents. I cried alone next to the coffin without really understanding why life had been so cruel. 3 days after the funeral, her lawyer called me. Mr. Almeida, I am Dr. Henrique Borges, lawyer for the late Mariana Almeida. I need to see him. It's about inventory. We met in his office. A small place, a bit messy, smells like old paper. He was a man in his 60s, bald, with glasses, with a tired look as if he had seen a lot in this life. Mr. Almeida, Mariana left everything to you. The house where you lived, savings, and the other property. My heart accelerated. The house. Yes. He pushed an envelope across the table. She left very specific instructions. She asked me to deliver this to you personally, and for me to say the following: now it's yours. Look for its secret. I took the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a set of keys and a paper with an address. What did she mean by that? The lawyer sighed heavily. Mr. Almeida, I was Mariana's lawyer for 15 years. She hired me right after she bought that house, and in all that time, she never told me what was inside, but she made me promise that if anything happened to her, I would give the keys to you, and for me to say those exact words. He looked at me with a mixture of pity and concern. If I may give you some advice, get ready. Mariana was not a woman who made drama for no reason. If she left a message like that, it's because what's in that house will change everything you think you know about her. I left his office stunned. I took the bus to the address. A neighborhood I didn't know. Middle class, tree-lined streets, well-kept houses. I found the number. It was a small single-story house with an abandoned garden in front and faded blue paint. I stood on the sidewalk for about 15 minutes just watching. My heart was racing. My hands were sweating. Search for her secret. What had Mariana hidden from me for 23 years? I took a deep breath. I opened the gate. I walked to the front door, and that's where I came in. I turned the key. I pushed the door, and I saw it. The photographs. Thousands of them. All from the same man. I entered the room slowly as if stepping through a minefield. The walls were covered. Photos of him smiling. His on beaches. His in restaurants. Him at parties. Some were old, faded. Others were recent. And then I saw it. In the middle of the room on a coffee table there were more framed photographs. And in these, he was not alone. He was with Mariana. The two hugged. Both smiling. The two, in love. My legs gave way. I fell to my knees on the floor, feeling the world collapsing around me. Mariana had another man. All these years, during our entire marriage, and this house, this damn house, was their love nest. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I grabbed one of the framed photos and looked closer. Mariana was radiant in that photo, a smile I had never seen on her face, a sparkle in her eyes that she never had with me. I turned the photo over. On the back, handwritten in her handwriting, me and Ricardo, our 10th anniversary, the love of my life, 10th anniversary. She had been with him for 10 years when she wrote this. I dropped the photo on the floor. I got up staggering, and that's when I saw the stairs. At the back of the room there was a narrow staircase that led to the second floor, and hanging from the railing was a sign with a single word, written in red letters, true, and below the sign, an arrow pointing upwards. My blood ran cold. There was more. There was something worse up there. I didn't know if I had the courage to climb those stairs, but I also knew I couldn't go back. Not now, not after all. I put my foot on the first step, and that was the moment I heard it. The front door opening behind me, and a male voice, deep, cold, filling the room. "So you finally found out." I turned so fast I almost lost my balance. My heart was beating wildly. At the door, against the light coming in from the street, was the silhouette of a man, high, wide shoulders, and when he stepped inside and the light hit his face, I felt my blood run cold. It was him, the man in the photographs. Richard. He was there, in front of me, real, flesh and blood. He was around 60 years old with gray hair combed back, blue eyes as cold as ice. He wore a white dress shirt, black dress pants, and well-shined leather shoes. He had the attitude of someone who always had money, of someone who never needed to lower their head to anyone. He looked me up and down with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. "So you're Thomas," he said, closing the door behind him with a casual movement, as if the house were his, as if I were the intruder. Who are you?" I managed to ask, my voice coming out hoarse, shaky. He smiled, a cynical, cruel smile. "I'm Ricardo Mendonça." He paused dramatically, savoring every word. The true love of Mariana's life. The words hit me like punches to the stomach. I wanted to scream, I wanted to lunge at him, I wanted to break that arrogant smile off his face, but my legs were locked in place. "You're lying," I whispered. "I am?" He pointed to the walls covered in photos. "Look around, Thomas. Take a good look. Every photo here was taken by her. Every moment was lived by both of us. For 23 years. The same 23 years you thought you were married to her." He said the word married with such contempt that I felt like vomiting. "Mariana loved me," I said, trying to convince myself as much as him. "Mariana tolerated you." Ricardo walked to the coffee table and picked up one of the framed photos. "She loved me. I was the man she wanted to be with. I was the man who made her happy. You were just convenient." "Convenient?" I repeated, feeling the anger begin to boil inside me. "Yes." He placed the photo back carefully. "You were the straight-laced, hard-working, honest husband. The man who paid the bills. The man who took care of her when she was sick. But I was the man she truly loved. The man she laughed with. The man she dreamed of." My fists clenched so hard that my nails dug into my palms. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice filled with hatred. "Because this house is mine as much as it was hers." Ricardo crossed his arms. "We bought it together. My money. My name on the contract. Mariana only put everything in her name so you wouldn't be suspicious, but this place has always been ours." "You're lying." "I am? So why did her lawyer tell you to come here? Why did she leave that message? Search for her secret." He laughed, a bitter, cruel sound. "Mariana knew you deserved to know the truth, even if the truth was painful." I could barely process what he was saying. My head was spinning. My chest hurt. 23 years of marriage, 23 years of dedication, of love, from hard work, and it was all a lie. "She never loved you, Thomas." Ricardo said this slowly, hammering each word into my soul. "She needed you, but he never loved you." "Shut up," I finally shouted, taking a step towards him. Ricardo didn't back down. He just looked at me with that cold smile. "Do you want to hit me? Go ahead. That won't change the fact that while you were working like an ass, she was here, I was there, in my arms, telling me how much he loved me." Tears burned my eyes. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to say he was lying, but I couldn't, because everything around me, every photo, every detail of that house, proved that he was telling the truth. "Get out of here," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I go." Ricardo walked towards the door. "But first, some advice. Go upstairs, Thomas. Go up to the second floor. Look for the truth that Mariana wanted you to find." "Why?" I asked, wiping the tears from my face. "Why do you want me to suffer more?" He stopped at the door and looked back, and for the first time I saw something different in his face. It was no longer contempt. It was sadness. "Because Mariana asked me to, before dying. She made me promise that if you came here I would tell you everything, and that I would send you up." He opened the door. "She said you deserved to know, that you were entitled to the full truth." "What truth?" I shouted. "What truth could be worse than that?" Ricardo looked at me for a long moment. Then he said quietly, "The truth about why she married you, Thomas. The truth about what she really wanted." And he left, closing the door behind him, leaving me alone in that hell of photos and lies. I collapsed on the floor, crying like a boy. I don't remember how long I lay there, curled up, feeling my world crumble around me. 23 years. 23 years of my life thrown away. 23 years of loving a woman who never loved me back. The memories began to come, one after another, like a painful flood. I remember the first time I saw Mariana. It was at a birthday party for one of her co-workers. I was there because I had done a side job carrying party things. She was in the corner of the room, alone, reading a book. I thought that was strange. Who reads on a birthday? But I also thought it was beautiful, fascinating. I gathered my courage and went to talk to her. Good reading? I asked shyly. She looked up and smiled, a gentle, somewhat shy smile. It's Machado de Assis, always good. We started talking. I found out she was a teacher who loved literature. She was a bit lonely, she didn't have many friends, who liked silence and peace. I fell in love that night. I really fell in love, for the first time in my life. We met other times. She said I was different, that I was genuine, that she felt good with me. 6 months later, I asked her to marry me. I was nervous, sweating cold, wearing a cheap ring that I had bought with the money I saved for months. She looked at the ring, then at me and said, "Yes, Thomas, I accept." I thought I was the happiest man in the world. The wedding was simple, a small ceremony, few guests. She didn't want a big party. He said he preferred something intimate. At the time, I thought it was romantic. Now I understand. She didn't want to attract attention. I didn't want too many people to know, because from the beginning, she already had Ricardo. Was she already with him when she married me? Could it be that on our wedding day, she was thinking about him? I remember how hard I worked to give her a good life. He worked overtime. I took double shifts, all so she wouldn't have to worry about money. Everything so she could focus on her career, her classes, her projects. And her? She used her free time to be with him, to live a secret life, to build a home that wasn't with me. I remember the times I asked if she was happy. "Of course, Thomas, I'm happy with you," she said, kissing me on the cheek. Lie. All lies. I remember the day she told me she couldn't have children. We were in the living room, watching TV. Suddenly she said, "Thomas, I went to the doctor today. There's something wrong with me. I can't have children." I hugged her, consoled her, told her it didn't matter, that I loved her no matter what. But now I wonder, was that true? Or did she just not want to have children with me? Was she afraid that a child would complicate the double life she led? I remember the weekends when she disappeared, of the holidays when she said she needed to work, the nights she arrived late saying she had been talking to colleagues. I trusted her. I never suspected. I never questioned it, because I loved her. And when you love someone, you trust. But she didn't love me, and she didn't trust me. She deceived me for 23 years. And the worst thing is that she was dying, and yet, even in the last days of her life, she didn't tell me the truth. She made me promise not to enter the house. She made me wait until after her death. Why? Why do this to me? Why not tell me everything while you were alive? Why not give me the chance to confront her, to ask why, to understand? The answer came, cruel and painful, that she was a coward. Because she didn't want to face my pain, he preferred to die with the secret and leave me here alone, to find out everything in the worst possible way. I wiped away the tears. I got up from the floor. I looked at the stairs. Ricardo had told me to go up. Mariana had left that sign. Truth. There was more. There was something up there she wanted me to know. Part of me didn't want to go up. Part of me wanted to run out of that house and never come back. Forget everything. Pretend that none of this had happened, but I couldn't, because now I needed to know. I needed to understand. I needed the complete truth, no matter how much it hurt. I put my foot on the first step. Second, third, the stairs creaked under my weight. The second-floor hallway was dark. It smelled like mold and something else, something chemical, like medicine or preservative. There were 3 doors. 2 were closed. One, at the end of the corridor, was ajar. I walked slowly, my heart beating fast. I pushed the door. It was a room, but not a normal room. The walls were white, very white. There was a hospital bed in the center, medical equipment next door, serum, monitors, everything off now, covered in dust. On the front wall was a large painting, an enlarged photo, from Mariana, but it wasn't a photo of her alone. It was a photo of her with Ricardo, and between them, in her arms, was a baby with fair skin, light eyes, blonde hair. My legs gave way. I leaned on the wall to keep from falling. No, it couldn't be. I approached the painting, shaking from head to toe. Below the photo, there was a small bronze plaque engraved, Ricardo Jr., our greatest treasure, 1998, 2018, 1998, 2 years after our wedding, and 2018, 5 years ago, Mariana had had a son with Ricardo, and that son had died. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I looked around the room and started to see the details. Old toys on a shelf, children's books, baby clothes stored in transparent boxes, smaller photos on the wall, photos of a boy growing up, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. Mariana had raised a son for 20 years, and I never knew. While I worked, while I supported our household, while I loved her, she was here, in this house, raising a family with another man. I sat on the hospital bed feeling my world falling apart again. The pieces started to fall into place. The secret house. The weekends she spent working. The money she said was an inheritance. Everything was to sustain this life, this son, and he had died, in 2018, 5 years ago. That was why she had become so strange in recent years, so far away, so empty. She was in mourning for the son I didn't know existed. Could this be why she developed cancer? The pain, the suffering, the guilt, everything eating away at her insides? I got up, staggering, and opened one of the closets. Inside were folders, lots of folders, organized by year. I picked one at random. 2005, photos, children's drawings, school report cards. Ricardo Jr. had been a good student. High notes, praise from teachers. I opened another folder. 2012, more photos. The boy was already a teenager, tall, handsome, smiling. There were photos of him playing football, photos of him at birthday parties, and in all of them, Mariana was there, hugging him, kissing his forehead, smiling in a way she never smiled with me. I took the last folder. 2018. Inside were medical documents, reports, exams, diagnostics, leukemia. Ricardo Jr. had developed leukemia at the age of 19. I read the reports, feeling a lump in my throat. He had fought. I had undergone chemotherapy, radiotherapy, marrow transplant. Nothing worked. He died in August 2018, and Mariana was there, next to him, holding his hand. And me? I was at home, alone, without knowing anything. August 2018. I remember that month. I remember that Mariana had been away for a whole week. He said he had gone to a teacher's conference in another city. When he came back, he was different, slimmer, with deep dark circles, tearful. I asked if everything was okay. She said she was just tired, but she wasn't tired. She was destroyed, because he had just buried his son. I closed the folder and threw it on the floor, unable to hold it any longer. I cried. I cried with anger. I cried in pain. I cried with humiliation. How could she do this to me? How could you use me, deceive me, turn me into an idiot who maintained a lie? And the worst thing is that part of me understood. She had loved that boy. She had been a mother. I had lived 20 years taking care of him, raising him, loving him, and then he lost it. The pain she must have felt, I couldn't even imagine. But still, even then she had no right. He had no right to deceive me, to use me, to destroy my life like that. I got up, wiped my face, and went to the second hallway door. I opened it. It was an office. There was a wooden desk, a bookshelf full of books, an old computer, and on the table, there was an envelope with my name written in Mariana's handwriting. I took it with shaking hands. Inside was a letter from her to me. I opened it and started reading. Thomas, if you're reading this, it means I'm already gone, and that you finally discovered my secret. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to explain it, but I'll try. I used you, Thomas, and I'm sorry about that. When we met, I was already with Ricardo. I already loved him. I was already pregnant with his son. But Ricardo was married. He had a family. He had responsibilities. He couldn't give up everything for me. And I needed stability. I needed someone to support me. That I would be an official husband to disguise my real life. You were perfect, honest, worker, reliable, and in love with me. I knew I could manipulate you, that I could make you believe that you loved me. And it worked. You worked so hard. He dedicated himself so much. And I used every penny, every effort of yours, to build my true life. With Ricardo, with our son. I know this is terrible. I know I have no excuse, but I don't regret it, because I loved my son, and I loved Ricardo, and I lived 20 happy years with them. But then Ricardo Jr. died, and my world ended. I went into depression. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. And I think that's why the cancer came. My body just gave up. In my last few months, I thought about you a lot, and what I did to you. And I realized that you deserve to know the truth. I deserve to understand why I did what I did. That's why I asked Dr. Henrique to give you the keys. That's why I brought you here. You're a good man, Thomas. It always was. And I was cruel to you. But I hope that somehow you can move on. Manage to find someone who truly loves you. May it value you, because you deserve it. Forgive me if you can, Mariana. And the letter fell from my hands. She had confessed everything. I had assumed he used me, who never loved me. That destroyed my life for 23 years, and he still had the audacity to ask for forgiveness. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I sat in the office chair, completely empty. I no longer felt angry. I no longer felt pain. I didn't feel anything. It was as if my soul had been ripped from my body. I stood there, staring into space. For how long I don't know. And then I heard a noise. Down there, the front door opening. Steps. Someone was entering the house. I stood up slowly, silently, my heart racing again. Who was it? Ricardo coming back? Anyone from Mariana's family? I walked down the stairs slowly, trying not to make any noise. I arrived in the room and saw it. There was a man in a black suit going through the drawers of the coffee table. He hadn't heard me. His back was turned. Who are you? I asked firmly. The man turned quickly, scared. He was young, around 30, thin, nervous. Get out of my house, I ordered. Your house? He laughed, but it was a nervous, awkward laugh. This isn't your home. This is from Ricardo. Ricardo has no right to this here. Mariana left everything to me. The man turned pale. No, it can't be. Who are you? He hesitated, then he said, I'm Bruno, Ricardo's nephew. He sent me here to get some documents. Important documents. What documents? Documents that prove that this house is his, that Mariana had no right to leave this to you. My blood boiled. Get out of here now before I call the police. Bruno looked at me with contempt. You don't understand, do you? Ricardo won't let you have this. He's going to fight. We'll sue you. It will prove that you don't deserve any of this. Skirt. He took a step toward me, threatening. Or what? Will you make me leave? And it was at that moment that I realized there was something in his hand, something that shone in the light. A knife. My entire body stiffened. The knife in Bruno's hand reflected the dim light of the room. A blade about 6 inches long, sharp, threatening. He held it awkwardly, like someone who had never used a gun before, but that didn't make it any less dangerous. I don't want to hurt you, Bruno said, his voice trembling, but his eyes showed despair. Just give me the documents and I'll leave. What documents? I asked, keeping my distance, mentally calculating whether I could disarm him or whether I should run. The house papers, the scriptures, the contracts, my uncle needs them. Bruno took a step towards me. That house is worth a lot of money, Thomas. Much more than you imagine. And she's not yours. Mariana's lawyer said it is. She left everything to me. Mariana had no right to leave anything. Bruno practically shouted, frustrated. Yes, the property was purchased with my uncle's money. He invested here. He built this life. You're nothing but from an idiot who was used? I added bitterly. You can say, I already know. Bruno seemed surprised by my calmness. Then you understand. You understand that you have no right to any of this. So give me the papers and let us resolve this in peace. At peace? I laughed a humorless laugh. You invaded my property with a knife and you want to talk about peace? I didn't invade. I have a key. He showed a key that was in his pocket. My uncle gave it to me, because he is the real owner. Having a key doesn't make you the owner. Bruno gritted his teeth, frustrated. His hand shook, clenching the handle of the knife. Look, I don't want any problems, but my uncle told me to get these documents, and I'll take it. With or without your permission. It was at that moment that I realized something. Bruno was too nervous, too scared. He was not a criminal. He was just a desperate boy following orders from someone more powerful. Bruno, I said slowly, trying to calm him down. You know this is wrong. You know Ricardo is using you, just like Mariana used, just like you used me. Shut up. You don't know anything about my uncle. I know he's a coward. A man who had an affair for 23 years and never had the courage to come out, that he let his son grow up in hiding, who left Mariana to die alone. He loved her. If you loved her, why didn't you stay with her? Why didn't he leave his wife? Why didn't you admit your son? Bruno hesitated. For the first time I saw doubt in his eyes. Because he had responsibilities. Responsibilities? I repeated, taking a step forward. Or cowardice. Stay there. Bruno pointed the knife at me, but his hand was shaking even more. Answer me one thing, Bruno. Does your uncle know you're here with a knife? Did he tell you to come armed? Or did you bring it on your own because you're scared? Bruno didn't respond, but the look on his face gave me the answer. He sent you here alone, I concluded. He told you to get the documents, but he didn't give you any support. Because if something goes wrong, it's your fault, not his. Shut up. He's using you, Bruno, just like he used everyone around him. I told you to shut up. Bruno advanced. I dodged on instinct, grabbed his arm and twisted. The knife fell to the floor with a metallic clang. I pushed Bruno against the wall, immobilizing him. Let go. Let go, he shouted, struggling. Listen here, I said firmly, holding him tightly. I won't hurt you, and I'm not calling the police. But you're getting out of here now, and you're going to tell your uncle that if he wants this house, he's going to have to come here in person and take me away. Did you understand? Bruno looked at me with mixed anger and fear, but he nodded. I released him. He ran to the door, tripping over his own feet, and slammed the door behind him. I stood there breathing heavily, my heart hammering in my chest. I picked up the knife from the floor and threw it into the kitchen away from me. My head was spinning. Ricardo was trying to take the house back. He was sending people to intimidate me. But why? If he had so much money, if this was his house, why didn't he just sue me? Why was he acting in the shadows? The answer came quickly. Because he had no proof. Because Mariana had put everything in her name. And now, with her dead, everything was mine by legal right. But Ricardo wasn't going to give up. I knew that. I went back to the second floor, this time determined to find all the documents from that house. I needed to understand exactly what was at stake. I went to the office again. I went through the drawers. I found folders of tax documents, electricity, water, and telephone bills, all in the name of Mariana. But then I found a different folder, bigger, heavier. I opened it. Inside were contracts, purchase and sale contracts, notarial documents, and what I saw left me stunned. The house hadn't been bought just with Ricardo's money. It had been bought with my money too. There were bank statements from our joint account, mine and Mariana's, transfers, withdrawals. For 23 years, Mariana had withdrawn small amounts from our account, 50 Rs here, 100 there, 200, values that I never noticed because I worked so much that I barely had time to check the statement, and she had brought it all together, added to Ricardo's money, and bought this house. My money, my sweat, my overtime, my shifts doubled. Everything had gone into building her love nest with another man. I felt the anger rising, hot and suffocating. I crumpled the papers tightly, feeling like I wanted to tear everything up, break everything, scream until my throat bled. But I controlled myself, because now I had proof. Proof that this house was both mine and Ricardo's, maybe even more mine. I kept looking. I found life insurance policies. Mariana had taken out insurance in her name, and the beneficiary was Ricardo Jr., the son. And now that the son was dead, the secondary beneficiary was me. 500,000 reais. Mariana had life insurance for 500,000 reais and had made me a secondary beneficiary. Why? Blame? Remorse? Or just another calculated move? I took the document and kept it with me. This was important. Very important. I went to the third door in the hallway. Until now, it hadn't opened. I turned the handle. It was locked. I looked for the keys the lawyer had given me. There were several. I tested them one by one until finally one of them fit. I opened the door. What I saw made me choke. It was a small room, but not an ordinary room. It had an altar, an improvised religious altar, candles, images of saints, dried flowers, and in the center, a large photo of Ricardo Jr. Surrounding the photo were letters, dozens of them, all written by hand. I picked one up at random and opened it. My dear son, today marks a year since you passed away, a year that my heart broke into 1,000 pieces. I can't get over it. I can't move on. You were everything to me, all. Sometimes I think about finding you, to end this pain once and for all, but I promised your father I would be strong. That would honor his memory. But it's so hard, my love, so difficult. I love you forever, Mommy. Date, August 2019. I took another one. My son, today I discovered that I am sick. Cancer. The doctor said it's serious, that I have little time. And you know what? I'm not sad, because that means I'll see you again. Soon we will be together soon. Thomas is looking out for me. He doesn't know anything, neither from you nor from how much I used him. Sometimes I feel guilty, but not enough to tell the truth. Forgive me, my son, for everything. See you soon, Mommy. Date, 3 months ago. I dropped the letter, feeling the tears return. Mariana had wished for her own death. I had seen cancer as a liberation, a chance to meet his son again. And me? I was just an obstacle, an inconvenient detail in her story. I sat on the floor of my room, leaning against the wall, and cried. I cried for everything I had lost, for the 23 years thrown away, for the humiliation, for betrayal. But I also cried for Mariana, for the broken woman she has become, for the broken mother who lost a son and never recovered. I don't know how long I stayed there, but when I finally got up, it was already dark outside. I went downstairs, locked the house, and left. Over the next few days, I tried to process everything. I tried to get back to my routine, but I couldn't. How do you get back to normal after discovering your entire life was a lie? I took a week off from work. I told the boss I was in mourning. He was understanding, but I wasn't mourning Mariana's death. I was mourning the death of my illusion, from my wedding, of my identity as a husband. I went to the registry office to check the house documents. The attendant confirmed the property was in Mariana's name, and upon her death it had automatically passed to me as the only legal heir. You are the rightful owner, said the attendant, stamping the papers. But I didn't feel like I owned anything. I just felt empty. It was then that I received a call, unknown number. Answered. Hello? Thomas? It was a female voice, soft, elegant, but with an icy tone underneath. Who is it? My name is Helena Mendonça, Ricardo's wife. My heart stopped. The wife, the woman Ricardo had cheated on for 23 years. What do you want? I asked cautiously. I want to find you. We need to talk. About Ricardo, about Mariana, and about the truth that no one has told you yet. What truth? The truth about why Mariana really married you. The truth about what Ricardo is planning. And the truth about what will happen to you if you don't act fast. What are you talking about? Meet me, tomorrow, at 3 in the afternoon, at the downtown coffee shop Santa Clara. Come alone. Why should I trust you? She laughed, a bitter laugh. Because, Thomas, I'm the only person in this story who was also deceived. The only one who understands your pain, and the only one who can help you get revenge. The call dropped. I stood there holding the phone, processing what I had just heard. Did Ricardo's wife want to help me? Or was it another trap? But she was right about one thing. I needed answers. I needed to understand what was happening, and why I felt like I was in danger. I spent the night without sleep, turning everything over in my head. Should I go? Was it safe? But in the end, curiosity won. I needed to know. The next day at 3 in the afternoon, I entered the Santa Clara cafeteria. It was an elegant place with small marble tables, classical music playing softly, and the smell of fresh coffee. I looked around. There was a woman alone in the corner. She was older, around 60 years old, gray hair tied into an elegant bun, expensive clothes, erect posture. When she saw me, she waved. I went to her table. "Helena?" I asked. "Thomas." She indicated the chair in front of me. "Sit down." I sat, tense, watching her every move. She picked up the cup of coffee, took a sip, and looked at me with piercing eyes. "You found out everything, didn't you?" I found out. The house, the photos, the son, the betrayal. "Yes. And how do you feel? How do you think?" I replied acidly. She nodded as if she understood perfectly. "I found out about Mariana 15 years ago," she said calmly. "I hired a detective. I followed Ricardo. I saw him entering that house. I saw him with her, with the boy. And you didn't do anything?" "I did. I confronted Ricardo. I demanded a divorce." She smiled, but it was a sad smile. "He begged me. He said he was going to break up with her, that he was going to choose our family, our children. And you chose?" "No," he continued. "He just became more careful, more discreet. And I decided to stay, because divorce would be humiliating, because my family, my friends, my social position, everything would be destroyed. So you agreed to live a lie, just as you accepted it," she replied harshly. I was silent. She was right. "Why did you call me here?" I asked. Helena leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Because Ricardo is planning to destroy you, Thomas. He wants that house back, and he will do anything to get it. It has no legal basis." "Cool?" She laughed. "Ricardo doesn't care about legality. He has money. It has connections. There are lawyers who can create cases out of nothing. He'll drag you to court. It will claim that you have no right to the property, that Mariana was mentally incapable when she made the will, that you manipulated her. This is ridiculous." "Yeah, but he has the money to make it seem true." She opened her bag and took out an envelope. "Do you see this? They are photos. From his son, from the grandson he had, of the legacy that died. Ricardo is obsessed with getting that house back because it's the only thing that's left of his son, and he won't let you have her." I took the envelope. Inside were photos of Ricardo visiting Ricardo Jr.'s grave, photos of him alone, crying, photos of him hugging Mariana, years ago, happily. "He loved that boy," Helena said, her voice breaking for the first time. "More than he loved our own children, more than he loved me. That boy was everything to him. Then why didn't you admit it? Why didn't he leave you and stay with Mariana?" Helena closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "Because Ricardo is a coward. A rich, powerful, but cowardly coward. He wanted both worlds, the respectable family and forbidden love, and he succeeded, until the boy dies. And now he wants the house. Not just the house." Helena opened her eyes, looking at me intensely. "He wants to destroy you, because you are living proof of his betrayal. You are the man Mariana used as a front. And as long as you exist, as long as you have any piece of this history, Ricardo will not have peace." I felt a cold run down my spine. Is he going to kill me? Not directly, but it will ruin you. Financially, emotionally. It will make you look like the villain, the profiteer, the man who married a sick woman just to inherit her property. But that's not true. So what? Truth doesn't matter when you have enough money to buy it. I remained silent, processing everything. "Why are you helping me?" I finally asked. Helena smiled. A cold, calculated smile. "Because I want to get revenge on him, Thomas. I want to see Ricardo pay for everything he did to me, for all the humiliations, all the lies. And you are my chance." "How?" She leaned in further. "Fight for this house. Don't give up. Force Ricardo to go to court. Expose everything, the betrayal, the hidden son, the double life. Destroy his reputation. And when he's ruined with nothing, I'll finalize the divorce and get half of what's left." I realized then, Helena didn't want to help me out of kindness. She wanted to use me as a weapon. But you know what? I didn't care. Because I also wanted revenge. I wanted Ricardo to pay, to feel a fraction of the pain I was feeling. "What do I need to do?" I asked. Helena smiled, satisfied. "First, you need to protect the documents. All. Photos, letters, contracts. Anything that proves his betrayal. Store in a safe place. Make copies." I already did. "Good. Second, you need a lawyer. A good one. I have a name." She wrote it on a piece of paper and handed it to me. "Dr. Julio Machado. Tell them you were recommended by me. He will defend you. And in return, when we go to court, you will testify. It will tell you everything. Ricardo's double life, the betrayal, the hidden son. Go expose him publicly. But it will also expose me. Everyone will know that I have mistaken. So what? Helena looked me in the eyes. Would you rather be the fool who was fooled or the coward who didn't fight? She was right. Okay, I agreed. I'll do it. Excellent. Helena stood up, picking up her bag. Oh, and Thomas, be careful. Ricardo will send more people after you, and next time maybe they won't be as amateur as Bruno. She left, leaving me alone in the cafeteria with a paper in my hand and a huge weight on my chest. I returned home that afternoon determined. For the first time since Mariana's death, I had a goal, a purpose. I was going to fight. I was going to expose Ricardo. I was going to regain my dignity. But when I got home and opened the door, I realized something was wrong. The house was messy. Open drawers, papers scattered, sofa cushions on the floor. Someone had broken in. I ran to the room. I opened the cabinet where I had kept the copies of the documents. Empty. They had stolen everything. And on the bed, they left a message. A white sheet of paper with a phrase written in red letters, "Give up while you still can." And below, a photo of me, taken today, at the coffee shop, with Helena. They had followed me. They knew everything. My legs gave way. I sat on the bed, looking at the message, feeling panic taking over. Ricardo was playing dirty, and I was alone, or at least he thought he was, because at that moment, my phone rang. Unknown number again. I answered with shaking hands. Hello? And the voice I heard on the other side froze me. Thomas Almeida, this is the Central Police Station. You need to come here immediately. You are being investigated for misappropriation of assets, forgery of documents, and conspiracy to commit inheritance fraud. My world spun. The police officer's words echoed in my head like a hammer hitting an anvil. Embezzlement, falsification of documents, conspiracy to commit fraud. It has to be a mistake, I managed to say, my voice coming out weak, shaky. I didn't do any of that. Mr. Almeida, we have a formal complaint against you, registered this morning by Ricardo Mendonça. He alleges that you forged his late wife's signature on property transfer documents and that he is trying to illegally appropriate assets that belong to him. That's a lie. Mariana left everything to me. Her lawyer handed me the keys. You need to come to the police station and provide clarification. Now. But Mr. Almeida, you can come voluntarily, or we can send a vehicle. The choice is yours. I hung up the phone with shaking hands. My mind was working a mile a minute. Ricardo had set me up. He stole the documents, made the complaint, and now he was using the police against me. I needed help. Urgent. I took the paper that Helena had given me. Dr. Julio Machado, lawyer. I called immediately. Answered on the third ring. Dr. Julio Machado. Doctor, my name is Thomas Almeida. Helena Mendonça recommended me. I need help. Urgent. There was a pause. Helena told me you could call. What happened? I told everything, quickly. The police call, the invasion, the stolen documents, the accusation. I understand. His voice was calm, professional. Don't say anything at the police station. Nothing. Just state that you want your lawyer to be present. I'll go there. Which police station? Central Police Station. I'll be there in 40 minutes. Thomas, listen carefully. Ricardo is trying to intimidate you, but he made a mistake. A big mistake. What mistake? He formally denounced you. This means everything goes on official record. Everything that happens now will be documented. And this could be our weapon. I hung up with a small spark of hope. For the first time since it all started, I had someone by my side. Someone who knew how to fight. I went to the police station. The path was torturous. Every minute felt like an hour. When I arrived, the imposing gray building made me feel small, insignificant. A 58-year-old black man being accused of crimes he didn't commit. How many stories like mine ended badly? I entered. I spoke to the attendant. I was directed to an investigation room. A deputy was waiting for me. A white man, around 50 years old, gray mustache, tired eyes. Mr. Almeida, I am Delegate Race. Sit down. I sat down. My hands were sweating. You are being accused of misappropriation and falsification of documents related to the inheritance of the late Mariana Almeida. What do you have to say? I want my lawyer present. The deputy sighed. Mr. Almeida, this could take a while. If you cooperate now, I want my lawyer, I repeated, firmly. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. As you wish. 40 minutes later, Dr. Julio Machado arrived. He was a tall, black man, around 45 years old, impeccable suit, confident posture. He entered the room as if entering a battlefield he already knew well. Delegate Kings, good morning. I am Mr. Thomas Almeida's lawyer. I came to assist my client. The deputy seemed surprised to see a lawyer so quickly. Dr. Julio, I didn't expect to see you here. So it is. It appears that my client was reported hastily. Julio sat next to me, placing a folder on the table. Let's get to the facts. What are the exact charges? The delegate opened a dossier. Ricardo Mendonça alleges that Mr. Thomas Almeida forged the signature of the deceased Mariana Almeida on documents transferring ownership of a property located at Rua das Acacias, number 247. He also alleges that you coerced the deceased on her deathbed to obtain the inheritance improperly. I understand. Julio opened his folder. And did Mr. Ricardo Mendonça present any proof of these allegations? The delegate hesitated. He presented documents that allegedly show irregularities. Supposedly, Julio smiled, but it was a sharp smile. Deputy, my client has notarized documents proving that the property was legally transferred to him through the deceased's will. He has the death certificate, it has the inventory, everything registered and legal. But Mr. Ricardo claims that Mr. Ricardo alleges many things. Julio leaned forward. But allegations are not proof. And you know what's interesting, delegate? Ricardo Mendonça has no legal right to that property. He was not married to the deceased. He wasn't related. It's not in the will. So tell me, why is a man with no legal relationship with the deceased denouncing the legitimate widower? The deputy frowned. He said he had a relationship with the deceased. Who invested money in the property? Extramarital relationship. Julio left that hanging in the air. An investment without legal documentation is worthless. Delegate, with all due respect, my client is being the victim of harassment and persecution by a man who wants to appropriate assets that do not belong to him. That's a serious accusation, doctor, and I have proof. Julio took papers from his briefcase. Yesterday, my client's house was invaded. Documents were stolen. Today, he receives a complaint. Coincidence? I don't believe it. Ricardo Mendonça is using the judicial system to intimidate and harm my client. The deputy took the papers, analyzed them, and his face changed. Did you report the invasion? I'll register now. Julio looked at me. Thomas, do you have photos of the house after the invasion? Yes, I lied, but I immediately took out my cell phone and started taking mental photos of what I had seen. I needed to have proof. Julio turned to the deputy. So we have two crimes here, home invasion and slanderous accusation. I would like to register a formal complaint against Ricardo Mendonça. The deputy sighed heavily. Doctor, this is going to become a complicated process, and it will, but the law is clear. My client is innocent until proven guilty, and so far I haven't seen any proof. The delegate looked at me, then at Julio, and finally closed the dossier. Mr. Almeida, you are free to go, but don't leave the city. We will investigate these allegations, from both sides. We left the police station. As soon as we stepped onto the sidewalk, my legs felt weak. Julio held my arm. Calm down, Thomas. Breathe. He almost arrested me, I whispered, but he didn't arrest him, because it has no basis. Julio led me to a car parked nearby. Come in, let's talk. We got into the car. Julio turned on the air conditioning and turned to me. Thomas, listen. Ricardo is desperate. Desperate men make mistakes. And he just made the biggest mistake of his life. Like this? He officially reported you. This means there is now a process. And in a process, everything is investigated. Everything is exposed. His life, Mariana's life, their relationship, the son. Everything will come to a head. But what if he can prove that I don't have the right to the house? He won't make it. Because you have. Legally, morally, you have it. Julio took a folder from the back seat. Helena gave me some information, and I did my own investigation. Thomas Ricardo Mendonça is a rich businessman. He has fortune, it has influence, but he also has enemies and secrets. What secrets? Julio opened the folder, showing documents. Ricardo has been married to Helena for 35 years. During these 35 years, he embezzled millions from the family business to support his secret life with Mariana. His wife, Helena, has proof of this. Evidence she kept for years, waiting for the right moment. Will she use them? Already using it. She filed for divorce this morning, and he is asking for an investigation into misappropriation of resources. Julio smiled. Ricardo is being attacked from two sides, for you and for her, and he doesn't have the structure to fight on both fronts. I felt a wave of relief mixed with disbelief. So, then don't I have a chance? More than a chance. You will win, Thomas. But to do that, you need to be strong. You need to handle the pressure. Because Ricardo will try everything to break you before he gets to court. You already tried. He invaded my house, reported me, and he will try harder. Julio looked at me seriously. But you are not alone. I am here. Helena is on our side. And there's someone else. Who? Dr. Henrique Borges, Mariana's lawyer. He called me today. He said he has important information, wants to talk to you. My heart accelerated. About what? About why Mariana left everything to you, and about what she really wanted you to do. We met Dr. Henrique in his office that same afternoon. He looked older, more tired than the last time. He welcomed us with a weak handshake and led us to his messy room. Thomas, I'm sorry about everything that's happening, he said, sitting behind the desk. I should have prepared you better. Ready for what? He sighed. Mariana came to me 6 months before she died. She already knew she had cancer. I already knew I didn't have much time, and she told me something that at the time I didn't fully understand. But now it makes sense. What did she say? Dr. Henrique opened a drawer and took out a sealed envelope. She gave me this. I said that if Ricardo tried to take your house, if he threatened you or harmed you in any way, I should hand you over. I took the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a letter and a flash drive. I opened the letter. It was Mariana's handwriting. Thomas, if you are reading this, it means that Ricardo did not accept my decision. It means he is stalking you, hurting you. On the flash drive, there is something that will change everything. These are recordings. Recordings of me with Ricardo. Conversations we've had over the last few years. Conversations where he admits terrible things. He embezzled money from the company. He manipulated contracts. He bribed people. He did illegal things to support our secret life. And I recorded everything. I didn't record it to protect you, Thomas. I recorded it to protect myself, because I was afraid that one day Ricardo would betray me, that you abandoned me, and I wanted to have something against him. But now this is yours. Use however you want. Expose him, destroy him, or forgive, and move on. The choice is yours. Mariana. I looked at the flash drive in my hand. It was small, insignificant, but it contained the power to destroy Ricardo Mendonça. Can we listen? Asked Julio. Dr. Henrique turned on the computer. Insert the pen drive. There were several audio files. I opened the first one. Mariana's voice echoed through the speakers. Clara, firm. Ricardo, are you sure no one will find out about the embezzlement of the pension fund? And Ricardo's voice, confident. Yes, I manipulated the records. No one will notice. And even if they do, they'll blame the accountant, not me. My blood ran cold. I opened another file. Ricardo, what if Helena finds out about the money you took from the joint account? She won't find out. I have control over everything. And even if she does, what will she do? Report me? She doesn't have the courage. I opened a third one. Ricardo, do you really think you can keep hiding this forever? Mariana, I already told you. I control everything. The company, the lawyers, even some judges. I'm untouchable. Untouchable. Julio stopped recording, his eyes shining. Thomas, do you know what that means? That he is a criminal. Exactly. And now we have proof. Julio took the flash drive. With this, we can not only defend you, we can attack. We can expose Ricardo publicly, destroy his reputation, and ensure that you keep everything that is rightfully yours. But this will become a scandal, said Dr. Henrique, worried. Go, Julio smiled. And that's exactly what we need. Make cure. In the following days, Julio prepared everything. He filed a lawsuit against Ricardo for harassment, defamation, and attempted embezzlement, and he requested an urgent hearing. The judge scheduled it for a week later. 1 week. 7 days that felt like 7 years. Ricardo tried to intimidate me once again. He sent threatening messages, made calls in the middle of the night. He even had the audacity to show up in front of my house. But I didn't give in, because now I had something he didn't. The truth. The day of the hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed. Helena had leaked the information to the press. Reporters, cameras, onlookers. Everyone wanted to see the scandal. I entered the courtroom with Julio by my side. Ricardo was already there with a battalion of lawyers around him. He looked at me with pure hatred. The judge entered. Serious man with glasses, impartial expression. Hearing started. Case of Thomas Almeida versus Ricardo Mendonça. Ricardo's lawyers were the first to speak. They claimed that I had manipulated Mariana, that I had no right to inheritance, that the property belonged to their client. Julius waited patiently, and when it was our turn, he stood up. Your Honor, I would like to present evidence that completely dismantles the other party's allegations. And it started. Julio presented the documents, the scriptures, the authenticated will, bank statements showing that my money had also been used to buy the house. Ricardo turned pale, but Julio didn't stop. Your Honor, I would also like to present evidence that Mr. Ricardo Mendonça is not acting in good faith, that he is, in fact, trying to cover up financial crimes he has committed for years. Objection, shouted one of Ricardo's lawyers. That's not relevant to the case. Yes, Your Honor, because it proves Mr. Mendonça's character, and it proves that he has ulterior motives for pursuing my client. The judge reflected. Proceed. Julio put the flash drive in the court computer, and the recording started playing. Ricardo's voice confessing to embezzling money, bribe, manipulation of contracts. The silence in the room was deafening. Ricardo's lawyers tried to protest, but the judge silenced them. When the recordings ended, Ricardo was destroyed. Pale, tremendous. Your Honor, said Julio calmly, my client is not just defending his right to inheritance, he's exposing a criminal, a man who used power and money to manipulate, deceive, and harm people for decades. The judge looked at Ricardo. Mr. Mendonça, do you have anything to say? Ricardo stood up, staggering. These recordings are fake. They were tampered with. We can carry out an investigation, said the judge coldly. Ricardo didn't respond. The judge banged the gavel. The property legally belongs to Mr. Thomas Almeida. All accusations against him are considered unfounded and slanderous. Furthermore, I order the opening of a criminal investigation against Mr. Ricardo Mendonça for the crimes revealed in the recordings. It was as if a bomb had exploded in the room. Reporters rushed outside to spread the news. Helena, who was at the back of the room, smiled satisfied. I just sat there processing. I had won. Ricardo stood up, looked at me with hatred and whispered, "This isn't over, Thomas." And he left, escorted by security guards. Julio placed his hand on my shoulder. "It's over, Thomas. You won." But something in Ricardo's eyes had left me uneasy. He had said it wasn't over. And 3 days later I found out what he meant. I got a call from the hospital. "Mr. Almeida, this is from Hospital San Lucas. You need to come urgently. There is a man here. He says he's his son." My world stopped. My son? Yes, he's in serious condition, and it's asking for you. I hung up, stunned. I didn't have children, but Mariana had it. Ricardo Jr. had died, or not. I arrived at San Lucas Hospital with my heart beating out of rhythm. My mind couldn't process what the attendant had said. A son, my son, asking for me, but I didn't have children. Mariana couldn't have it, or that's what she had told me. Could there be more lies? More secrets I hadn't yet discovered? I ran into the hospital and went straight to reception. "My name is Thomas Almeida. I got a call. They said my son is here." The receptionist, a young woman with tired eyes, looked at the computer. "Yes, Mr. Almeida. He's in the emergency ward, bed 12, but what?" She hesitated. "You need to speak to the doctor in charge first. Dr. Campos. She's waiting for you." I was led to a small room. Dr. Campos was a woman of about 40, serious with a worried expression. "Mr. Almeida, I need to explain the situation. The young man who was admitted here today introduced himself as your son. He suffered a medication overdose. Suicide attempt." My blood ran cold. "What is he like? Describe him." "Light skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. Around 22 years old." 22 years. Ricardo Jr. would be 26 years old if he were alive. "Doctor, is his name Ricardo Jr.?" She looked through the papers. "No. He introduced himself as Thomas Jr." I felt my legs weaken. Someone was using my name. Someone was pretending to be my son. "Doctor, I need to see this boy. He's unconscious now. We did gastric lavage. You'll survive, but I need to see it," I insisted. She took me to the bed. When I looked at the face of the boy on the bed, covered in braces, pale as a ghost, my heart almost stopped. It wasn't Ricardo Jr., but it was a lot like him, very similar. "Who are you?" I whispered, looking at that unfamiliar face. It was then that I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around. It was Ricardo. He entered the room, visibly shaken, with red and swollen eyes. "Thomas," he said, his voice breaking, "I need to tell you the truth." "What truth? Who is this boy?" Ricardo approached the bed, looked at the young man, and tears began to run down his face. "This is Felipe, my nephew, my younger brother's son." He wiped away the tears. After Ricardo Jr. died, Felipe, he couldn't stand it. They were like brothers. They grew up together. And when Ricardo Jr. left, Felipe went into a deep depression. I couldn't process what I was hearing. "Why did he introduce himself as my son?" "Because I ordered it," Ricardo admitted, his voice full of shame. I was desperate, Thomas. Desperate to hurt you, to get you out of my sight. So, I manipulated Felipe. You said if he pretended to be your son, if he showed up and created a scandal, you would be publicly destroyed, that people would think you had abandoned a sick child. The cruelty of it hit me like a punch. Did you use your own nephew? A boy in depression? I know, Ricardo shouted and then lowered his voice, aware of the hospital around him. I know I'm a monster. I know, but I was losing everything, Thomas. The company, the reputation, the wife, and that house, that damn house, was the only thing that connected me to my son, the only thing I had left of him. And that's why you wanted to destroy me? Yes, he admitted, collapsing into a chair, but I failed, in everything. And now I almost killed Felipe because of my obsession. I looked at the boy on the bed. He was innocent, just another victim in Ricardo's web of lies and manipulations. The doctor said he'll survive, I said, my voice calmer than I expected. Thank God, Ricardo murmured. We were silent for a long moment. Then Ricardo looked up at me. Thomas, I came here to ask you something. I know I have no right. I know I don't deserve it. But please, don't sue Felipe. Don't expose it. He didn't know what he was doing. I manipulated him. It's all my fault. I looked at that man who had destroyed my life, that he had used me, humiliated me, tried to ruin me, and I saw not a mighty monster but a broken man, a father who never got over the loss of his son. A coward who destroyed everything around him for fear of facing his own choices. "I'm not going to sue Felipe," I said finally. "But you will pay for everything you did. I know, the lawyers have already informed me. I will be criminally responsible for the misappropriation of resources. I'm going to lose the company. I'm going to lose everything." He looked at me with empty eyes. "But you know something, Thomas? I already lost what mattered most 5 years ago, when my son died. Everything after that was just the echo of a life that had already ended." For the first time, I felt something other than anger towards Ricardo. I felt sorry, pity a man who had everything and threw it all away, who loved but loved in the wrong way, who lost and never learned to deal with loss. "Take care of your nephew," I said, turning to leave, "and try to be for Felipe what you couldn't be for your own son, a present." I left the hospital without looking back. Over the next few weeks, things unfolded quickly. Ricardo was indicted for financial crimes. The investigation revealed years of embezzlement, fraud, and manipulation. His company went bankrupt. His assets were frozen. He would face years in prison. Helena got a divorce and kept a significant part of what was left of his fortune. She called me once, thanked me for my help, and said she was going to use the money to help charities. He said he wanted to do something good with what was left of that tragedy. Felipe recovered. He left the hospital and entered a rehabilitation clinic. I learned that Ricardo was paying for the treatment, one of the few good things he did in his life. And me, I kept the house. I went back there one last time a few weeks after the trial. I entered that place that had been the center of so many lies, so much pain. I went up the stairs again. I went to Ricardo Jr.'s room. I looked at the photos, for the toys, for the life that had been lived there without my knowing. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I just felt deep sadness. For that boy who grew up without being able to live openly. For Mariana, who loved but was never free. For Ricardo, who had everything and lost everything. And for me, who was used but also complicit in my own blindness. Because deep down I knew, somewhere inside me, I always knew something was wrong, but I chose not to see it. I chose to believe the lie because the lie was more comfortable than the truth. I went downstairs. For the last time, I called a real estate agency. I put the house up for sale. "Are you sure?" asked the broker. "It's a valuable property." "I'm sure," I replied. "This house carries too many memories, too much pain. I can't live here. I don't want." I sold the house in 2 months. The money, along with Mariana's life insurance, gave me financial security for the first time in my life. $500,000 from the insurance, plus $400,000 from the sale of the house. Almost $1,000,000 money that Mariana had left for me, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of remorse, or maybe because, in the end, she really wanted to make it up to me for the years she stole from me. I will never know. With the money, I did a few things. I paid all my debts. I bought a small, simple house, but really mine. A place without ghosts. No lies. No poisoned memories. And then I did something that surprised even myself. I donated a significant portion to a social project in my neighborhood. A project that helped men like me, black, working men, who were often invisible to society. Men who deserved to be seen, be heard, be valued. The project coordinator almost fell out of his chair when I made the donation. "Mr. Almeida, that's incredible. Why are you doing this?" "Because someone needs to tell these men that they have value," I replied. "That they matter. That they are not just tools. It's not just muscles to work. They are human beings, with dreams, with the right to true love, with a right to respect." He shook my hand, moved. "We are going to name the project in your honor." "No," I refused gently. "Name someone who really matters, from someone who really fought. I'm just trying to do what's right." I started working part-time as a volunteer on the project. He talked to the men who arrived there. I listened to their stories, your sufferings, your hopes, and I realized I wasn't alone. There were so many men like me, men who worked their whole lives, who loved and were betrayed, who gave everything and received nothing in return, men who were used and discarded. But there was also hope. There were men who stood up, who rebuilt their lives, who found true love, who learned to value themselves. And little by little, I also started to heal. I went to therapy. For the first time in my life, I sat in a psychologist's office and told my story. I cried, I screamed, I released all the pain, all the anger, all the humiliation. "Thomas," she told me in a session, months later, "you went through one of the greatest betrayals a human being can go through, but you survived. You fought, and you won. Not just in court. You won within yourself." "I don't feel victorious," I confessed. "I feel empty. The void is temporary. It's part of the healing process. You have emptied all the poison. Now you need to fill yourself with good things, with self-love, with new dreams, with new connections." She was right. I started doing things I had never done before. I went back to studying. I took a computer course, then one for administration. I discovered that I liked learning, that he had the capacity, that it wasn't just arms to carry weight, it was a mind to think, create, build. I made new friends, true, people who valued me for who I was, not for what I could do for them. And a year after Mariana's death, I met Renata. She was a volunteer in the same social project. Black woman, 52 years old, retired teacher, widow. She had lost her husband to cancer 3 years ago. I understood the pain. I understood the loss. It wasn't love at first sight. It was something slower, more genuine. Conversations, coffees, hiking, laughter, sharing stories, pain, hopes, and one day, 6 months after we met, she took my hand and said, "Thomas, I don't know where this is going, but I like being with you. You make me feel seen, heard, valued." I looked at that beautiful, strong, real woman, and for the first time in 23 years, I knew what it was like to be truly loved. "Renata, I also like being with you. You show me that I have value, that I am more than my pain, more than my betrayal." We started dating, and it was different, completely different. There were no secrets, there were no lies, just two adults who had suffered, who had lost, but who chose to try again. They chose to believe that true love existed. And today, 2 years after Mariana's death, I am at a stage in life that I never imagined I would reach. I have a house that is mine, a job that gives me purpose, friends who value me, a woman who truly loves me, and I have peace. It wasn't easy to get here. There were nights when I woke up crying, remembering the humiliation, the betrayal. There were days when I thought about giving up and giving in to bitterness. But I chose to fight. I chose to get up. I chose to heal myself. Because in the end, that's what defines a man. Not how much he was knocked down, but how many times did he choose to stand up. Ricardo is serving his sentence in a minimum security prison. It will stay there for a few years. I knew he receives regular visits from Felipe, who has recovered and is rebuilding his life. Ricardo, at least, is trying to be a better uncle than he was a father. Helena got married again, with a simple, honest man who treats her with the respect she has always deserved. She sent me an invitation to the wedding. I went, and I was happy for her, because she also chose to start over. Dr. Julio continues to be my lawyer and has become a close friend. He's helping me start a non-profit to help betrayed and emotionally abused men. Something I've discovered is much more common than people realize. And me? I learned some lessons that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. I learned that true love doesn't hide, don't manipulate, don't use it. True love respects, values, honors. I learned that working hard is important, but it's not everything. That I also need to work on my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-care. I learned that being a black man in a country like Brazil means fighting twice as hard, but it also means having a strength that few understand, a resilience that comes from centuries of resistance. I learned that forgiving does not mean forgetting. It means releasing anger so it doesn't consume me. I forgave Mariana, not because she deserved it, but because I deserved peace. I learned that justice doesn't always come quickly, but when it finally comes, it is sweet and restorative. And I learned that it's never too late to start over. At 58, when many think life is over, I discovered it was just beginning. In truth, if you're listening to this story and you're going through something similar, if you've been betrayed, used, humiliated, I want you to know one thing. You are not alone. Your pain is real. Your anger is valid. Your suffering matters, but you can't let it define you. You can't let someone's betrayal steal the rest of your life. Get up, even if it's difficult, even if it hurts, even if it seems impossible. Seek help, therapy, friends, family, community. Fight for your rights. Don't let anyone step on you. Don't let anyone make you feel small. And when the storm passes, because it will pass, you will discover that there is life on the other side. There is joy. There is true love. There is peace. I found out, and you will find out too. My name is Thomas Almeida. I'm 60 now. I'm black. I'm a worker. I'm a survivor. And I am free. Free from lies. Free from pain. Free to live. And that freedom, my friend, that freedom is priceless. End. Life teaches us that those who say they love us don't always really love us. Sometimes we are just pieces in a game we don't understand. But that doesn't mean we don't deserve true love. It just means we need to have the courage to demand more, not accepting crumbs, not to be satisfied with lies. Thomas was used for 23 years, but when he discovered the truth, he didn't let himself be destroyed. He fought, won, and he rebuilt his life on solid foundations: truth, self-respect, and genuine love. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere there is a man, a woman, a person who is going through the same pain, and you need to know that there is hope on the other side. You deserve to be truly loved. You deserve respect. You deserve dignity. Never forget that.